So here are all of my propagations that I need to pot up. Most of them, as you can see, have a good amount of roots growing. Some are tiny plants, some I'm going to combine to make a fuller plant. So I counted and I have about 20 varieties, different types of plants that I need to pot up. Some of these will eventually get added to my mother plants, and some I will be trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace. And if I pan on this side, I have a trash can there for anything I need to throw out, some nursery pots, my squirt bottle. I will be adding the water that they are propagated in into the squirt bottle to water them in. I also have my soil boxes there and some extra chunky perlite. And I use this, I think it's called Micro Easy. It's micros that I like to add to make sure that they can adjust to the roots. And then when I water it in, I will add in some Super Thrive to combat any transplanting shock from water to soil. And then down here, in case I need my watering can, I have my watering can, and then that jug. That jug has some fertilizer in it, so I probably won't be using that this time. But yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to set you up on a tripod and let's get started. So I'm going to use these two trays that I got from Dollar Tree, one for the rooted cuttings and one for the potting up of the plant. And the very first plant that we're going to work with is this Tradescantia zebrina, and as you can see, she is very rooted, you guys, and ready for some soil. While I am separating the roots here, this plant, a little bit, I want to talk to you about this plant. This plant is super easy care and also super easy to propagate. She can be a little frustrating because of browning of leaves, and she might get bald on the top, but all you need to do is cut some of her length and repot it or reroot it, and you can make her fuller on top. I love this plant. I think she's got beautiful colors and she looks beautiful in a hanging basket, full and trailing. Also, you don't really need any rooting hormones or anything to propagate this plant. So now that I've separated this bunch of cuttings into pretty much two piles, I'm going to pot it up into this 3.5 inch pot that I got from Dollar Tree as well. I think she will look beautiful and full in these pots. I know that she will root very fast and won't last too long in these pots, but I think for now that will be good. So because the holes on these nursery pots are so large on the bottom, I like to add some chunky perlite and then add a layer of potting mix, and then we will pot them up. So this is the potting mix that I use for all of my plants. I use the Fox Farm Ocean Forest soil, and I use some Better Grow orchid bark mix that has the chunky perlite and charcoal built into it. So I add some chunky perlite to the bottom of the pot so that the soil doesn't come out of the bottom when I water. Then I add a small layer of the potting mix. And then I'm going to use some Myco for the roots, and I do put some on top of the soil as well. This plant, like I said, isn't very picky at all in the type of soil that you pot her in, just make sure that you do not bury the leaves when you're trying to pot her up. Also, make sure that you keep her watered for the next 2 weeks because she's used to being in water. And let's go ahead and fill in all around this plant and get her potted up. The Tradescantia zebrina was one of my first plants when I first started with plants years ago. I got it from a friend, and I've been chopping her up and propagating her every year, and I really like this plant because she's a good plant to experiment with, and she's very easy and hardy in my opinion, and I think she is so beautiful, and she does bloom some cute little pink flowers as well. Maybe I'll find a picture and pop it up on the screen for you guys. So you want to make sure that you pack in the soil all around and that you get all those roots in the soil. And make sure she's nice and snug and covered up well. And then tap her around a little bit to get rid of any air pockets that might be in the soil. That way the roots don't dry out. These roots you have to be careful a little bit because the roots can dry out because they're so fine. And because they're so fine, this plant needs frequent watering, but doesn't like to sit in soggy soil. That's what I've learned about this plant. For that very reason, I think this plant is a great starter plant because I feel like you really can't kill it, and she's so easy to restart a new basket. And I think it's a lot of fun to chop her up, refresh her, restart her every year if you need to. I don't think I'm an expert on this plant at all. I think that mine does okay. But if you have this plant and you can keep a full hanging basket of her, share any tips that you may have for me down below in the comment section, please, because I'm always trying to learn more new things about plants, and I know that there is no way that I'm going to end up knowing everything, and I'm open to suggestions and experimenting as well. So here I am just watering her in with my squeeze bottle. I did add a couple drops of Super Thrive in there. The next plant that we are going to pot up is this beautiful Tradescantia as well. This one is the Alba Flora variegated or variegata. She's beautiful. Someone asked me for this plant, a friend of mine, so I'm potting it up in this 4-inch pot for her. And yeah, here I am measuring the pot so that I make sure that I'm telling you the right size. So I'm going to go ahead and add a layer of the chunky perlite, and then we're going to do a layer of the soil just like we did with the last one. Now what I can say about this Tradescantia is that it's a lot easier than the one that we just did before this. This one grows so much faster in my opinion, and fuller, and it just looks better most of the time than the other, but it is in the same family. I just feel like it's a lot hardier and you get less brown leaves. I love this plant. I love the variegation of her. I love the trailing of her and how hardy and fast growing she is. I've propagated mine so many times, and I got this from a cutting from a friend, and I have a nice little full pot of her. And I think that if I cut her more and potted up more into the pot would be bigger and fuller. But I have given away baby plants of this plant to so many of my friends and family. This one I will be selling to a friend since I'm in the business of selling plants now. So I put all the long, like leggier looking pieces on the edges, and then I'm going to take this bunch here that are smaller or shorter cuttings, I should say, and put them in the middle using some Myco again, even though you don't need to for this plant. I just like to ensure that the plant is going to be healthy and grow to its fullest potential. So anything I can do to help the plant out that I might have on hand, I will use on my plants. So we're going to go ahead and backfill. Make sure all those roots are in the soil, you guys. I almost left that piece out. Backfill. And since these pieces around the edges are kind of right up against the pot, I want to make sure that I go around the edges and pull up those pieces and put some soil in between there so that those pieces aren't like rubbing up against the pot and are actually in contact with the soil. That way they grow some more roots and don't get damaged from hanging over the side of the pot. Do you have this Stratoscanthia? Do you like it? What has been your experience with this Stratoscanthia? I really love it. I know that she flowers too, but I don't think mine has flowered yet because I keep chopping her back. I also don't think I've given her any fertilizing for flowering. Anyways, she's all done. We're going to go ahead and water her in, and then I'll be back for the next plant. So the next plant, you guys, that we are going to work on is this beautiful Philodendron Brazil. It's got beautiful variegation, super hardy, healthy, fast growing plant here, you guys. Easy to propagate as well. This is my experience with this plant, and I just love this plant. It is fast growing, and you guys, you're about to get some root porn here. Look at these beautiful roots coming out of these cuttings. Oh my goodness. These are amazing. Another beautiful, easy plant to grow, you guys, and propagate. Look at these roots. They even have secondary roots. All of these propagations were potted up or propagated on the same day, you guys. And look at how beautiful these roots look. Now, some of these didn't get enough light, so it looks like they didn't create a whole lot of roots, but I think out of this entire bunch, I maybe had 3 leaves that needed to continue rooting because the roots were not that long. And you guys, that is an amazing result. I had 28 cuttings here, fully rooted, and I made 3 pots, 1 6-inch pot and 2 3.5-inch pots. There isn't too much to say, but I did want to say, don't those roots look like spaghetti noodles sitting on a tray like that? So again, a little coating of perlite on the bottom so I don't lose the soil. I'm going to put about 6 cuttings in these 3.5-inch pots. I know it's a lot. I know these roots are a lot as well. These are for sale. I'm selling them for probably about between $5 to $8 because there's 6 cuttings. They're well rooted, and I will probably have to up pot them before I sell them. And if I don't up pot them, I will probably pot them together in a 6-inch and sell a nice 6-inch pot of this plant. It is beautiful, and I don't know who wouldn't want it, you guys. Who wouldn't want it? Another plant that doesn't need any myco, but I am going to add it in there, you guys, so that it has the best chance that it could have to grow beautiful, fast, and healthy. Trying not to worry too much about bearing the new growth that some of these cuttings have, because they will come out of the soil as they normally do and look for the sun. They will continue to grow up and out of the soil. So I am not too worried about that. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't break it off in the process of potting it up. I have sold some of these plants already before I even got to edit this video. They grew really fast and beautiful. So here's the second pot that I'm doing. This one was a little bit difficult because the, I guess you would call it petiole that's attached to the leaf was shorter than the other ones, and some of them were like curly because this plant does this as it grows and searches for light and stuff like that. So it was hard for me to hold it and make sure that I was putting enough soil in there, and on top of it the roots were so long, it was just a little hard. You're gonna see me struggle here a little bit, but I was able to do it, you guys. A little bit more myco. Then we're gonna backfill here around the cuttings, making sure to bury all of the roots. Don't worry about the new growth, it'll pop out through the soil. A little tap tap to make sure you get rid of the air bubbles. The air pockets in the soil. Tamping down the soil a little bit. Make sure it's nice and firm and secure. Trying to get some of that soil off the leaves as well before I water her. Tap, 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 you guys. Always tap, tap, tap. So now that we're all done with her, we're going to set her aside and we're going to work with Big Mama, the 6-inch pot. We're going to go ahead and put some soil in the pot and grab all these cuttings. I'm trying to put them all together towards the center of the pot so that they have room to expand on their own in the soil. These leaves are beautiful, you guys. I'm gathering them all up here, trying to create a little bunch of them for the center. Some of these petioles were a little shorter as well. Try not to put the ones with the smaller leaves in the bottom part, because like underneath the bigger leaves, because then they won't get enough light and they may end up dying off or rotting out for not being able to receive enough light. So you want the leaves to be able to see light, every single leaf, so it continues to grow beautiful and healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and put the roots in and then do some more backfilling and tapping. And I believe I put myco in here as well. I kept the one leaf for my 6-inch pot because this is going to be another mother plant for me. And I am not bothered by that leaf having a little hole in it because I think I accidentally caused that somehow. I don't remember. But it isn't pest damage or anything like that. But I didn't want to sell it in, another pot to somebody else because they would probably think it was pest. Trying to take out the really chunky stuff because that stuff is too big. I don't know, but do you guys use the Better Grow Orchid Bark mix? And is yours so chunky like this one? I feel like the pieces are too large. I think I'm going to look into getting something that is a little smaller and more manageable for like cuttings and stuff like that, because this stuff I think might be too big. So here I'm putting this super small one towards the top because it does, like I said, it doesn't have a very long stem, but I have to remember to keep it moist over the top of the soil or it's gonna end up dying or drying out. And tap tap tap, making sure all these leaves, not leaves, all the roots are buried. This one was hanging out a little bit, so I'm going to prop it up and add some more soil. This one as well, add some more soil to hold it up. And I think we are almost done, you guys. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. They're kind of long. So now we're going to work on this beautiful heartleaf philodendron. This is the basic heteroecium one. And we're going to pot all of the cuttings into this one 3.5 inch pot using some chunky perlite for the drainage holes, adding a layer of soil and potting it up, you guys. These are beautiful long trailing vines. All of them are fantastically rooted, you guys. They have so many roots, it's ridiculous. This is the easiest heartleaf philodendron out of the Brazil and the more rare varieties and the micans, because micans is a philodendron heteroecium as well. Same family. Look at them roots, you guys. They just look beautiful. They're a little green, but I did rinse off any algae. And so I'm going to add a little myco and then pot her up. Now we're going to work on this beautiful micans. Some of the leaves got burnt from the grow light, but I'm not worried about that. And she doesn't have a whole lot of roots like the rest of the cuttings. She has least roots. Some of the pieces did not root, so I will be cutting them up to 1 nodes and putting them back in order. And the leggy pieces I will also cut up into 1 nodes and put them back in order to root. But all the ones that have roots already and aren't leggy, we're going to go ahead and pot them up together. So now that we're all done with the micans, we are going to pot up these Mandula and Neon Pothos. They are both well rooted, and we're going to do a total of 4 3.5-inch pots. Again, gonna put some chunky perlite on the bottom, put a little bit of potting soil on top of the chunky perlite, put the cuttings in, add some mico, backfill the pots, and make sure that the roots are all covered, and then we are going to water them, and I'll see you guys at the end here. So I decided, because I have so many more propagations left, and I potted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plants here with you guys. 12 actually. I'm going to stop here for now and do a part 2, so stay tuned if you'd like to see the rest of my propagations potted up. Thank you guys so much for joining me and keeping me company while I do these pot ups, and I hope you like the way they turned out. I think they look beautiful. I have them on my shelf underneath some basic grow lights I got off of Amazon. They've all been watered in, and they're sitting in saucers. I will get rid of the water from the saucers in a little bit. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. And I will check you guys out on my next video. Thank you. Bye.